Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Luke, the 9th chapter. Then he called his 12 disciples together and gave them power and authority over all devils and to cure diseases. And he sent them to preach the kingdom of God and to heal the sick. And he said unto them, Take nothing for your journey, neither staves, nor scrip, neither bread, neither money, neither have 2 coats apiece. I'm going to read this in the NLT as well. So it says here, take nothing for your journey. He instructed them. Don't take a walking stick, a traveler's bag, food, money, or even a change of clothes. And whatsoever house ye enter into, there abide, and thence depart. So when you go, wherever you go, that when you go to teach, that's why he called them apostles, because he sent them out. The house that receives you, stay there, okay, until you leave that city. Wherever you go, NLT, stay in the same house until you leave town. And whosoever will not receive you, when you go out of that city, shake off the, the very dust from your feet for a testimony against them. And they departed and went, once again, the dust, like the actual, when you walk, once again, your feet get dirty, you get dust and so on. So the Lord said, if you go to a city and they don't accept you, shake that off, off your feet for a testimony against them, right? Symbolize that, hey, we brought this message to you, but you didn't accept it. And they departed and went through the towns, preaching the gospel and healing everywhere. Now Herod the Tetrarch heard of all that was done by him, and he was perplexed, because that it was said of him, said of some, that John was risen from the dead. Yeah, because this Herod put John the Baptist to death. So he was like, some people are saying that this is John the Baptist having come back from the dead, and of some that Elias had appeared, which is Elijah, and they thought that was Yahushua. And of others that one of the old prophets was risen again. And Herod said, John I have beheaded, but who is this of whom I hear such things? And he desired to see him. And the apostles, when they had returned, because he was famous, once again, Yahushua was very, very famous. So the apostles, when they were returned, told him all that they had done. And he took them and went aside privately into a desert place belonging to the city called Bethsaida. And the people, when they knew it, followed him. And he received them and spake unto them of the kingdom of God, and healed them that had need of healing. And when the day began to wear away, then came the 12 and said unto him, Send the multitude away, that they may go into the towns and country round about, and lodge, and get victuals, for we are here in a desert place. So it's getting late. Why don't you dismiss them so they can actually go and get provisions? Because it's again, where we are, there's nothing to eat over here. But he said unto them, Give ye them to eat. And they said, We have no more but 5 loaves and 2 fishes, except we should go and buy meat for all this people. So unless you want us to go and buy food for all these people here, for they were about 5,000 men. And he said to his disciples, Make them sit down by 50s in a company. So let them sit down, group them up by 50s. And they did so, and made them all sit down. Then he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed them, and brake, and gave to the disciples to set before the multitude. And they did eat, and were all filled. There was taken up of fragments, meaning leftovers, that remained to them 12 baskets. That's crazy. And it came to pass as he was alone praying. So he basically, and this is something to keep in mind, right? The Lord took 5 loaves and 2 fish and fed 5,000 people with it, and still had some left over. How he did it, we don't know. Was he just like causing the loaves and fish to do shadow clone jutsu and just like multiply or something, right? But it was obviously through spiritual power, similar to how the Elijah, right? The Lord gave Elijah the power to multiply that meal for the widow woman, so they were able to keep using it as long as they needed. And this is good to keep in mind, because guess what? This is a sign that just like the Lord was able to feed 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish, he can do signs like this and greater for us. And it came to pass, as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him, and he asked them, saying, "Whom say the people that I am?" So what's the word in town concerning me? Who am I? Who are they saying that I am? Then answering said, they answering said, John the Baptist, but some say Elias, and others that one of the old prophets is risen again. He said unto them, "But whom say ye that I am?" And they probably were thinking, probably got a little quiet. Then Peter answered, right? Peter answering said, "The anointed of God. Think you the Messiah?" And he straightly charged them and commanded them to tell no man that thing. So he basically told them, "No, make sure you don't tell that to anybody. Don't go publishing that, making that abroad, making that news abroad, saying the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders." Right? They had to reject him as the Son of Man. That's why he would always try to keep that part specifically as secret and low as possible. Because the more people start going around with that, the more influence there is. People actually thinking and believing that. But for the sake of prophecy, it had to be this way. That's why he would oftentimes command people, especially those demons, you shut their ass up quick. And the chief priests and scribes, and be slain and be raised the third day. Now they didn't get that. They didn't understand that. And he said what you were speaking about, his crucifixion. And he said unto them all, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me." Meaning, bear your own burden, all right, and endure, right, and bear the burden of serving and walking and ministering with the Lord, right. NLT says, "Then he said to the crowd, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must turn from your selfish ways, take up your cross daily, and follow me." So you got to be a disciple. You got to discipline yourself and, be ready to bear whatever burden comes with serving the Lord. "For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it." NLT, "If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it." Right? Because those that try to hang on to their life in the world, eventually they're going to die. They're going to lose that. Right? But those that are willing to sacrifice that for the Lord, as he says, they're going to save it. "For what is a man advantaged if he gain the whole world and lose himself, or be cast away?" See, so what do you like? King Solomon, mentioned that a lot, right? NLT, "And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world, but you are destroyed, but are yourself lost or destroyed?" See, what's the point in gaining the whole world if you lose yourself? "For whosoever shall be ashamed of me and of my words, of him shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he shall come in his own glory, and in his Father's, and of the holy angels." So then this is referring to when the Lord will come down in our time now. Those that were ashamed, that didn't want to proclaim his name, that didn't want to proclaim his word, he's going to be ashamed of them. So he's not going to defend you or, proclaim your name to his Father. He'll be ashamed of you before his Father, just like you were ashamed of him before the world. "But I tell you of a truth, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of God, till they see the kingdom of God." But he was speaking here concerning reincarnation, because all of them tasted of death. They all died. But the kingdom of God hasn't come yet in its fullness. So how would this be true? Was the Lord lying? No. But those same individuals or the same spirits in that generation would come back again in the reincarnation again and again, and be here in the last days, meaning at the time when the Lord would come in and usher in that kingdom. So some of them in the last days would be here and they would not die. Okay, and they would be alive to see the Lord come back again and usher in that kingdom. And it came to pass about an 8 days after these things, or these sayings, he took Peter and John and James and went up into a mountain to pray. And as he prayed, the fashion of his countenance was altered, and his raiment was white and glistering. So as he prayed, his as it says, his countenance was altered. This is where he transfigured himself, right? And his raiment or his clothing became white and just started to shine. And behold, there talked with him 2 men, which were Moses and Elias, who appeared in glory and spake of his decease, which he should accomplish at Jerusalem, which is talking about his crucifixion, his sacrifice. But Peter and they which were with him were heavy with sleep. And when they were awake, they saw his glory and the 2 men that stood with him. So they opened their eyes and they see Yahushua and this just light, emitting off of him. And they see these 2 men. They're like, what the hell? And it came to pass as they departed from him, that is, the transfiguration of Yahushua to show, Elijah and Moses as they were fading away, they were departing. Peter said unto Yahushua, Master, it is good for us to be here. And let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias, not knowing what he said. So in the NLT it says, as Moses and Elijah were starting to leave, which it was a transfiguration, right? Not that they were actually there, but it looked like they were. Peter, not even knowing what he was saying, blurted out, Master, it's wonderful for us to be here. Let's make 3 shelters as memorials, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he thus spake, there came a cloud and overshadowed them, and they feared as they entered into the cloud. Now, this cloud was a chariot, but it doesn't mean they entered into the actual chariot. It means it overshadowed them. So when you read this in the NLT, it says, but even as he was saying this, a cloud overshadowed them, and terror gripped them as the cloud covered them. See? And then it says here, and there came a voice out of the cloud, saying, This is my beloved son, hear ye him. So if they actually entered into the cloud, why would the voice come out of the cloud and talk to them? Why not just talk to them while they were in the cloud? Because they didn't actually go inside the cloud. So this voice, right, saying that this is my beloved son, referring to the Lord, hear ye him, right, Yahushua, because he's above Moses and Elijah. And when the voice was past, Yahushua was found alone, and they kept it close, and told no man in those days any of those things which they had seen. So they kept it to themselves, and they thought about it. And it came to pass that on the next day, when they were come down from the hill, much people met him. And behold, a man of the company cried out, saying, Master, I beseech thee, look upon my son, for he is mine only child. And lo, a spirit taketh him, and he suddenly crieth out, and it teareth him, that he foameth again, and bruising him hardly departeth from him. So he's basically plagued of this demon that keeps tormenting him and hurting him. In the NLT, it says, an evil spirit keeps seizing him, making him scream. It throws him into convulsions so that he foams at the mouth. It batters him and hardly ever leaves him alone. And I besought thy disciples to cast him out, and they could not. And Yahushua answering said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you and suffer you? Bring thy son hither. Right? So there was a lack of faith here. And he's saying, like, I'm not going to be with you forever. So you gotta step it up a notch, because they should have been able to do that. And as he was yet coming, the devil threw him down, right? So as the boy was on his getting closer to the Lord, the demon just took over again and just threw him, meaning like he threw it. It would look like he threw himself right down on the ground, but it was the demon that was doing that, and tear him. And Yahushua, and it doesn't mean tear as in it it like ripped his body in half, right? Tear, let's go into that. It says to convulse completely, right? Convulsing. A person suffer violent involuntary contractions of the muscles, producing contortion of the body or limbs. It's like how you see somebody going through a seizure and they're just like just shaking and moving and they can't control it. Yeah. So that's what's happening to him. And Yahushua rebuked the unclean spirit and healed the child and delivered him again to his father. And they were all amazed at the mighty power of God. But while they wondered every one at the things which Yahushua did, he said unto his disciples, let these sayings sink down into your ears. For the Son of Man shall be delivered into the hands of men. But once again, they didn't fully understand that, right? Verse 45, but they understood not the saying. And what he was saying was that eventually his time was coming where he would die. They would deliver him into the hands of men to be put to death. And it was hid from them that they perceived it not, and they feared to ask him of that saying. So the Lord didn't open up their minds to that, to understand what it meant just yet. And they were afraid to ask him, what does it mean? Then there arose a reason among them, which of them should be the greatest. So they started to basically question themselves and, talk amongst themselves, of who would be the greatest. And Yahushua, perceiving the thought of their heart, took a child and set him by him, and said unto them, whosoever shall receive this child in my name receiveth me. And whosoever shall receive me receiveth him that sent me. For he that is least among you all, the same shall be great. And in the NLT it says here, then he said unto them, anyone who welcomes a little child like this on my behalf welcomes me. And anyone who welcomes me also welcomes my Father who sent me. Whosoever or whoever is the least among you is the greatest. And John answered and said, Master, we saw one casting out devils in thy name, and we forbade him, because he followeth not with us. So because he wasn't a part of us specifically, we forbade him from doing that. And Yahushua said unto him, forbid him not, for he that is not against us is for us. Right? If he was casting out devils in the name of the Lord, and he's not against the Lord, then, as he says, then he is for us, right? That's furthering our work. And it came to pass, when the time was come that he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem. So as the time was approaching to, for him to have to go and suffer, right, and be sacrificed, he basically set his direction to head to Jerusalem, and sent messengers before his face, and they went up ahead, and entered into a village of the Samaritans to make ready for him. And they did not receive him, because his face was as though he would go to Jerusalem. So they didn't they didn't receive him to give him a place to stay, because his journeying looked like he was heading towards Jerusalem, and they weren't, say, the best of friends with those of Jerusalem. Right? There was a bit of tension there between the Samaritans and them. And when his disciples James and John saw this, they said, Lord, wilt thou that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, even as Elias did? So they're not trying to let us go through here. They're saying this, that, and the third. You want us to just call fire down and burn them like Elijah did? But he turned and rebuked them and said, ye know not what manner of spirit ye are of. For the Son of Man is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And they went to another village. So he's like, we're not here to kill them. We're not here to destroy them. We're here to save them. Okay, so that's not the right spirit to be in. So quick to want to, drop that fire down. That's not the use of the power. It's for healing, in this time, right? As he was telling them, and it's to save as best we can, and not just come and destroy, because this time around, when he comes back again, he's bringing destruction. And it came to pass that as they went In the way a certain man said unto him, Lord, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. And Yahushua said unto him, Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. And that was because they were constantly, he had a home, but they were constantly on the move. They were like pilgrims, right? They were going from one area to another, to teaching the word. And he said so it wasn't like a permanent area. He would like stay and then go back there, right? Like, slack you 1 second. Like how you would say, okay, I'm going home tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. And he said to another, follow me. But he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. Yahushua said unto him, let the dead bury their dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of God. And that what he was saying was, let those that are spiritually dead bury their physical dead. And those that are spiritually dead are those that wouldn't receive the word. Okay, they would remain amongst the congregation of the dead. But you go and preach the kingdom of God. And another also said, Lord, I will follow thee, but let me go first go bid them farewell, which are at home at my house. Yahushua said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow, meaning starting the work, and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of God. So if you're going to do it, the second you start, you're going all out with it. There's no, let me pause and go and do this and then come back and no. And that brings us to the end of the book of Luke, the 9th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodesh. And until next time, Shalom.